we have 4 simple rules. Number 1, we don't discuss politics, ever. Number 2, this is not a religious channel, and while you might hear people say, God bless you, or I'm going to pray for you, or I wouldn't have gotten through this without my faith, that's fine. What's not fine is to say, my God is better than your God, or here's why you're not getting into heaven. It's not going to fly. Number 3, we believe wholeheartedly if you can't control your tongue, then you can't control your life. So while on board, there's not going to be any cursing in the live chat, period. And number 4, there is no room for mean people on the lifeboat. Because we discuss very sensitive things from people's past in our group setting, we got to protect those people. The only way they feel confident and comfortable discussing those things is in an environment that is free of trolls and mean people. So if you're a mean person or you're a troll, we're going to block you for life. And if your account happens to be less than 24 hours old, we're probably a little suspicious right from the word go. Why? Well, because there are people in this world who enjoy being cruel solely for the sake of being cruel. It's not going to fly here. But if you're here because you're trying to get sober and live your best life, then you might find that the lifeboat is just that, a lifeboat. I'm Captain Tommy Scoville, and we will see you on deck. Good evening, everybody. I am Captain Tommy Scoville, and you are on the lifeboat. Glad you're all here. I really am.
See that? Hotel.
It's perfect.
As you can see, I'm pretty relaxed.
Should we see what we're on
I don't
here?
mean to brag, but I do have multiple.
He's pretty relaxed, Mark. We got that going for him. I don't know what that was, but it wasn't the lifeboat, but it was loud. So let's see. There we go. Hey, you go. All right, people. I'm glad you're here for our technical excellence. Where is Steve when you need him? There should be a good Steve joke coming in there somewhere. I have, well, it took me a year. I finished my 46 lap around the sun, and I'm starting on my, all right. So speaking of the sun, because I saw that Lord Kissfreak just commented on it, there is some stuff happening with the sun, and you know what that means, people. It means keep an eye on Wages World. It's always a pretty good sign that Wages World is probably going to be doing something. So I want to tell everybody, thank you. I have a lot more people that are reaching out to me in a way that we always dreamed about, but didn't always happen. And it's productive. You know what I mean? We don't want you reaching out to us because, of ego or of any of the other reasons that it really is about trying to help people get sober. And it's, the kind of interactions that I'm having with people right now is making that happen. And it's the kind of stuff that is really in the best interest of the lifeboat. And it's in the best interest of all of the people that are tuning in. So that's the dream becoming a reality. And that is the reason for today's subject matter. And it's been another one of those ridiculously busy days. Before I get rolling, I'll do my my little complaining, because this is my therapy as well. It's just been one of those days that has just been ridiculously busy, all in good ways for the most part. There's a gentleman in town that has reached out to me and would like to have me do a segment on a radio program here in town. Now, the segment that he wants me to do is about vintage watches. But I meet with him tomorrow at 11:30, and I'm going to say to him, that is one of my 2 passions. If I'm allowed to do this, it would be under the condition that I'm able to mention my other passion. And I will, of course, talk about the lifeboat, because these 2 things really do sort of define my life these days. They kind of go hand in hand. But yeah, it's just been busy. It really has. For people on the boat, we've got one boat member that's waiting on a watch, probably going to arrive there tomorrow, I think is what the tracking number said. And there's a lovely lady on the boat that should be getting a couple of watches. I just got a part in from Esslinger to fix one of her watches that used to be her mom. So yeah, see that? Look at that. Wrapped it all up in one nice bow. The question today, people, that goes along with the thumbnail, the lifeboat and what we are trying to do here, you would think is pretty obvious stuff. And for the most part, it is, right? But I had a talk with somebody today that is on the lifeboat, and it doesn't matter who this person is, but this individual, it's a he, really kind of hammered home some stuff that got me thinking. And every once in a while you talk to somebody that is in recovery, and the person is so self-aware. The person is so in tune with what's going on in their life and so honest about it that you think to yourself, there's probably no chance this guy doesn't make it. There's probably no chance that this person doesn't get to exactly where he wants to get to in life. And it gets you thinking about all of the other people that you work with. And you try not to compare people because everybody's walk is really different. And, this is a difficult game, people. We're well aware of that. I mean, we really are. But, I was talking with my bobbleheaded partner before the show went live. And, quite often he's hearing this stuff for the first time. We don't discuss what people talk to us about. But I do say things like, you know what, I think this guy's got an excellent chance of making it. And we had that conversation right before we went live. And I said, the reason is, again, the self-awareness thing and the honesty with himself. It's astounding how many people in recovery are absolutely BSing themselves on a daily basis. I hate to be a jerk, but it's just the truth. And not mentioning anybody by name, right? So the nice thing is, even if you've been talking to me, you don't know if I'm talking about you, but you know if I'm talking about you. Know what I mean? I mean, let's be really honest, people. Self-awareness in this game is huge. So if you saw tonight's thumbnail, what are you doing on the boat, right? What are you doing on the lifeboat? Because I'll be really honest with you. It's easy to sort of fall into a routine where you come here every night and you get to hang out with some really cool people, and there's not a whole lot of negativity, and there's a tremendous amount of love and support and a lot of stuff that just sort of makes you feel good, right? It is really kind of a feel-good channel, and that's good. It's what we always wanted. We don't judge people. We don't beat on people that show up under the influence. We don't beat on people that are struggling. It's not who we are. But there's something refreshing as hell when you come across somebody and they're beating on themselves a little bit, right? I mean, we say don't beat yourself up, but don't delude yourself either, right? If you're on your 45th relapse in 65 days, you have to kind of wonder how hard you're actually attacking this sobriety thing, right? Self-awareness is great. It really is. And unfortunately, sometimes our kindness might not help as much as we would like it to. We love everybody here, and we don't want to push anyone off of the boat, by being harsh. It's the last thing in the world we want to do. But people, take a real good hard look at what you're doing in your walk with sobriety and ask yourself some questions. There are some real sort of life awareness kind of questions that need to be asked when you start down this road to recovery. And one of them is, how honest am I being with myself? Am I really trying super hard to stay sober, or am I not quite ready yet? Because here's the thing, if you're not quite ready yet, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. There really isn't. If you're not ready to get sober yet, then you're not ready to get sober yet. But if you're telling yourself that you are, then you're either going to attack sobriety or you're not. If you're not attacking that, if you're still using every day or using every other day, and, you're not taking steps to move forward, then ask yourself what you're doing here. Because truthfully, regardless of how much love and affection and kindness and everything else all we talk about is getting sober, right? I mean, occasionally I'll go off about whatever's troubling me in the day, or we'll wander into what Squirrel is doing. But for the most part, this is a show that talks about sobriety 365 days a year, right? Or some subject that is germane to to sobriety. If you come in here every single night, I'm guessing you want to get sober. I'm guessing that you're ready to really start changing your life. So be honest with yourself. You don't, we've talked about, let's say your drug of choice is alcohol. You don't have to quit cold turkey, right? That can kill you. But are you moving forward, or are you standing still? Because I have said many times on this channel that I don't believe much that this whole standing still thing happens, right? You're either moving forward or you're moving backwards. That really is how it works in sobriety. And I talked to someone today that is in a situation that they've come to the realization of exactly what their substance abuse is doing to them, to their family, to everybody involved. And there's a game plan going forward. That game plan does not involve stopping instantly. I'd never advise someone that's drinking hard to do that. But there's a plan, right? The plan is not, well, I'm just going to get, faced for the next 9-10 months, and then I'm going to reevaluate. The plan is there are steps that I'm going to take right now that are going to put me in a position where I can actually live the rest of my life without having to worry about this thing looming large over me and destroying my life. That's the kind of stuff I'm talking about, people. That's the kind of stuff that when I say self-awareness, when I have to say to somebody, hey, listen, you're beating up on yourself a little bit too hard here, that's probably not a bad sign. I come here and I talk very often. My bobble-headed partner does the same. We talk about owning it, right? Owning your past, taking responsibility for your addiction. I don't believe you can take responsibility for your addiction and be comfortable living in it. I don't know. I really don't believe that can happen. The reason that Q, because I didn't come up with that concept, I assure you, but the reason that Q pounded that into me the way that he did was because of that fact. When you take ownership of your addiction and you don't push any of this off on anybody else or on any circumstance or bad luck or, oh, woe is me, right? We've all got the woe is me's. We could do it forever. There's nobody that doesn't have a really good reason, right, to use. We're drug addicts. We're alcoholics, right? We are people with chemical dependency issues. We've got a whole host of great reasons. But when you shove all of those to the side and you say, those reasons notwithstanding, I'm the one that decided to do drugs. I'm the one that progressed through the addiction. I'm the one that chose to continue to use when I knew I was getting out of control. And I'm the one who, once I realized I was addicted, continued to use. When you get to that point and you take that ownership, something very unique happens. You will become viciously uncomfortable continuing to use. It will become overwhelming how uncomfortable drug use and alcoholism or any other substance, how uncomfortable it will become. The beautiful thing, people, is it will become more uncomfortable than the prospect of going into that new walk, right? You'll have the scales, right? And it's like the fear of the unknown and going through the withdrawals and all of the ugly stuff. And then there's this weight on you, the realization that, you know what? I got nobody to blame but me. When that starts to outweigh the other one, your walk in sobriety has just started for real, right? Now sobriety begins in earnest. And it is really a beautiful thing to see somebody going through that process. Now, I'm not a sadist, right? I is it sadist or is it masochist? Which one wants to hurt other people? Both? Okay, yeah, we'll go with that. I'm not into either of those things, right? I'm not trying to, I think it would be, Yeah, sadistic, because it would be the Marquis de Sade, right? Yeah. So I'm not a sadistic cat. I don't take pleasure seeing somebody go through something painful. And the process of owning your past and owning your addiction is painful, but it's a beautiful thing to watch because you know what's coming. When somebody really does take ownership, and again, we've debated whether ownership means you admit it to yourself or you admit it to somebody else. Uh, I think it's the same thing. I really do, because I think that when you own it, you're not going to be comfortable owning it in silence. When you own it, you're going to feel an overwhelming need to unburden yourself to somebody, whether that somebody is me or my bobbleheaded partner or a loved one or everybody on the boat, right? Or everybody in North America. We've had people that come on here and, worldwide, people that come on here and tell their story and really own it. Nile jumps to mind, but everybody did it. We've never had anybody come on here and hem and haw, right? Everybody that we've ever highlighted on the lifeboat has taken an amazing amount of responsibility for the things that they did in their addiction. And again, when that happens, and that feeling of man, this has got to stop, right? Not just the addiction, but this feeling, the feeling of man, I feel like a loser, right? I feel like it becomes this unbelievable weight. And the only way to make that weight stop is to not continue in that lifestyle. I hope this is making sense, right? Because as much as we love you and as much as we don't want to hurt anyone's feelings or do anything like that, just think about how uncomfortable we made everybody else feel in our addiction. I think it's something we have to understand. And you know what, people? It's a great example of exactly what I'm talking about, right? That comment that's ownership. It is. Because when you own the fact that your addiction was yours and nobody else's, right? Well, no, really, it's my ex-wife's fault. If you had any idea how bad that woman was, I mean, that woman could make you do heroin, right? I mean, everybody's got something like that. Everybody has, that, well, if I had been loved more as a kid, you know what? All of us have something that drove us. We have said on this boat, and we will continue to say, that addiction gives you nothing. Nothing do you get from addiction, right? Addiction takes away. It doesn't give. It doesn't matter what your drug is. Your drug's heroin, your drug's cocaine, right? Or crack cocaine or anything else. It takes away. It takes away pain. It takes away anxiety. It takes away whatever, awkwardness, social anxieties, whatever is going on in your life. That drug takes that away. It doesn't give you squat, right? The process of getting sober does the exact opposite, right? It does nothing but give you. It gives you freedom from that. It gives you all of the things that got stolen from you by the needle or the straw or the pipe, right? Or the joint or whatever you were struggling with. That process is like, the wheels stop and it starts rolling back in the opposite direction. And you can get to a point, when we talk about forgiveness here on the lifeboat, and, I'm dealing with a lot of people right now who are trying to get sober. And one of the things that I hear over and over again is, with the damage that I've done to other people, there's no way I will ever be able to forgive myself. And my answer to that is, not if you're using. I assure you, not if you are using. The process of forgiving yourself does not begin until you're chemical free, because the hammer that really gets us is that we sit here and go, I can't believe the things that I have done to people. I can't believe the harm that I have done. And whether you articulate this, whether you even realize you're thinking it, in your head, the thought process is going on. And what am I doing to fix it? What am I doing to fix the crap that I did to everybody that I care about? And if you ponder this and, sit like this and do the whole thing, I don't care how you decide to try to think about this, meditate on it, pray about it. What you're going to come up with is there really isn't a lot we can do. We can say sorry, right? That's about all we can do. The question then becomes, can you prove you're sorry? Can you let the world see that you really are sorry for the damage you've done? And the answer logically to that question is not with a beer in your hand, not with a straw in your nose, not with a needle in your arm, right? Because they look at you and go, oh, I can tell you're sorry. Yeah, it's it's just jamming right out. Boy, I feel bad. So bad I need a drink.
It's one of those things too, Tommy, that I think that truth is about the only thing that stands above love when we're talking about all this. We can love each other to death. It's not going to get us sober. At the end of the day, it's going to have to come down to truth and being honest.
No question.
So,
no question.
Yeah.
And that truth, that it starts right here, right? I mean, that's why I say, with owning it, we're getting into semantics, right? Yeah, you need to unburden yourself, but you can't unburden yourself if you're BSing yourself, right? And when you say to somebody that you really care about, and I've had this conversation with so many people, I can't explain it, right? Every single person who has any blood whatsoever related to me in their veins, I have had this discussion with. And the friends that aren't dead, I've had this discussion with, where you have to sit down and say, I am so sorry for the dirtbag that I have been for the majority of my life, right? And I'll tell you this too, people. I've had the conversation more than once, but I've only had it once when I was sober. And it is a very different experience. I used to apologize constantly and come up with these beautiful scripts that I wrote ahead of time, and it was BS. I probably felt bad. Deep down, I probably did. Can you accept your loved ones not being ready just because you think you are? You want everything so quick, just like our addiction. Yeah. And we talked about this in a previous show, right? We say we're sorry and we want forgiveness like this, right? You better accept that I'm a sober person. You better trust me as of right now, because I just told you I'm sober, right? So you got no reason not to trust me. How many times have I said, people, I don't care how long I'm going to be sober. If a $20 bill comes up missing, I am going to be the suspect. Always. And guess what? I earned that.
Yep.
It is what it is, right? I robbed banks. I stole from the people that I love. There's no way around that for the rest of my existence. If something comes up missing, now you can get really bitter about that. You can spend the rest of your life bitter about that. I got sober. These people owe me. They don't owe you squat. They don't. In fact, you still owe them. So when people look and there's a $20 bill missing, I promise you, I'll be the first person to go, I bet you all think it's me. I'm not mad at you. I'm not mad at you. If I were in the room, right? If I was not me, but I was somebody else here, I'd be looking at me. But if you guys want to search my car, if you'd like me to empty out my pockets, you're not going to hurt my feelings. You're not. I earned that. I earned that.
I've actually got a story. If you want me to share it real quick. It's
dude.
Really, really small. It just happened last week, and it's amazing how this stuff falls into this. But this whole situation actually happened to me last week. And I didn't get mad at anybody. It was hard not to. Let me just say that first and foremost. It's easy just to jump off and start going at somebody, right, Tommy?
Sure.
It would be. But my son, he's been fighting some anxiety and stuff, so his doctor wrote him a script like a month ago for some really weak, like Xanax,
right,
or Ativan. I can't remember which one it was. Usually, I don't even see him. I don't want to see him. I don't want to know. I don't want I don't want me to be a part of any of that. Well, he was having some issues, and he actually texted my wife and wanted her to bring him out some to work. Just
sure.
Because I'm not going to go into why he was feeling that way.
No, that's good enough.
But they couldn't find him. So where that spotlight went.
Sure.
And rightfully so.
Rightfully so.
I am just saying. And I know, because if it was on the other end of it, I'd have been doing the same thing.
No question. You earned that.
Yeah, we didn't become addicts overnight. So how can we expect everybody else to accept it overnight?
We follow that through to its final conclusion, people. Does it suck for my bobbleheaded partner? You bet it does. Yeah. But his addiction was pills, right? Holy crap, a bottle of pills comes up missing.
Yeah.
I love Mark. I'll be the guy looking at him.
Yeah, exactly.
Believe that. I would be, and I would probably approach it like this. Hey, you know what? I love you, man. I don't want you upset at me, but who would you look at if you were me?
Yeah, you got to ask.
Right?
You got to ask.
Is there anything you want to tell me? And people, do you know how many times that he and I have had this conversation?
Yeah.
Is there anything you want to tell me?
Yep.
you developed really thick skin as somebody in recovery who works one-on-one with somebody in recovery on a show about recovery. Like if I'm supposed to be someplace at 6:00 for a show, right, every single night of the week, and one day I call with 9 minutes to spare and go, can't make it, right? When that show's over, I'm going to get a call that says, hey, is there anything you want to talk about? Because that kind of behavior is not something that, they basically, everyone in your life comes to expect something from you. When it doesn't happen, if I'm 45 minutes late coming home, guess what everybody in my family is wondering?
Yeah. Are you on the wrong side of town? That's what they're wondering.
And this is I'm glad that you brought this up, because this is a hell of an illustration. It really is. When that happens, you know what you do? You grab this puppy, right? When you're 3 minutes late, you grab this puppy. Why? Because there's a difference between saying, I'm sorry for the things that I did in my past, and showing that you're sorry for the things that you did in the past.
100.
So instead of coming home 45 minutes late and going, hey, what's up? You go, hey, I'm going to be late. Let me tell you what's going on, because I don't want you freaking out. I don't want you worrying. I try to make a point of texting to the point where people get bummed out about it.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, it's cool. It's cool. I know what's going on, right? You don't have to keep telling me. Oh, but I do.
Yes.
Because the other option is I'm going to allow you to play in that playground of gray matter that you have between your ears. And you're going to go to the worst possible case scenario. Why? Because I made you that way.
Yeah.
Right?
No, exactly.
For real.
100%,
For real.
Man. I mean, wow.
It is what it is.
Yeah. There you go. It is what it is. I love that one. But no, and really, man, I have to say, I even caught myself wondering, it's almost like you look at yourself for a minute, like, and guys, I want to say this too, because this matters. I'm 10 years sober, almost 11.
Oh, yeah, almost 11.
And this happened last week. Does that put in perspective to anybody what is going to happen in your life? It doesn't happen very often anymore. And, and I know that they didn't look at me right away, but I know that was in their head. So I just asked, you know what I mean? Hey, I had nothing to do with it. Go find them, because I don't know where they're at. It's just like one of those things. But, don't let your guard down is what I'm trying to say. And don't expect people to always know that you're still sober. And, you have to continue, and this sucks. I know this part sucks, but you have to continually prove it to everybody around you. And how do you prove it? It's by your action, just like Tommy said. You have to learn to be proactive and not reactive to a lot of situations. And that will definitely, head it off at a pass, and transparency is the easiest way to do that. People will eventually, because if you're not that deceiving person anymore, it will show. Eventually people will, and it does let up. I'm not saying that it stays all hot and heavy, spotlight on you all the time, but as you start earning that trust back, it does come back. It's never, I can tell you this though, it's never ever going to be 100% to where it was before. It just won't.
It probably will not.
No,
it probably will not. And it is your responsibility. I mean, here's the thing. Are you really sorry? Are you really sorry for the things that you put all the people through? Because if you are, there's a roadmap to prove it. And it's a pretty simple one. It's the stuff that we're talking about right now. This is the nuts and bolts kind of thing.
Yeah.
My addiction drove peeps away, but I follow Jesus, Yahusha, and they don't. Well, you know what? Addiction drives people away. Yeah. Your religious beliefs, God bless you, man. Seriously. And we're not a religious channel, and we say that constantly. There's a reason for that, right? We're not trying to offend anyone away who we would like to get sober, right? We want everybody to get sober regardless of which God you follow. But everybody sort of does know what my beliefs are. And one of the beautiful things about religion is that the one person that you could pretty much count on being forgiven by is who you pray to, right? All religions say that, for the most part, literally all of them say that, you're forgiven when you confess. Well, in the real world, it's not quite that easy. But something? It's the same principle. It starts with confession. If you really did everybody that you care about dirty, coming to a group and telling us that is a great thing. because it will help unburden you, but it isn't going to get you forgiven, and it isn't going to start the healing process. Right. When you come here and confess that, keep in your mind that this should be a dry run. This should be the audition tape for going to the people you care about and then saying, boy, you know what? We really need to talk. Because if you want your walk in sobriety to work, you're not going to have the sword of Damocles hanging over your head at all times. And the guilt of not getting that off of your chest will eventually drive you back to use. It really is one of the great motivators for relapse, is that feeling of, man, I'm a dirtbag, man, I'm a dirtbag, man, I'm a dirtbag. Well, knowing who we all are, right? We can make that feeling go away with a drink, a smoke, a snort, a shoot, or whatever, right? A pill. The best way is to not have any of that sitting in your rearview mirror, right? Make sure that you get it done. Or more importantly, I guess, don't have it riding side by side. Put it in your rearview mirror. Don't go through the rest of your life burdened with the things that you've done. And I question sometimes, nobody in particular, everybody, right? Mm-hmm. Because everyone comes here and they are so viciously honest on the lifeboat. It's impressive. It really is. It's impressive how people will come here. And I mean, in many cases, the first couple of times they're here, they realize they're at a place that they're not going to get judged. And they realize that everybody here is in the same boat. And we all know the kind of things that we do when we're under the influence, and the way we burn the people we care about. So they unburden. And I mean, my bobbleheaded partner backed me up on this. If we had $1 for how many times somebody has come here and said, I've never told anybody that, and I can't tell you how much better I feel just saying it, right? We hear that one constantly. I feel so much better having just said that. Do we not?
Yeah, we hear that more than you guys know, because we don't always share it. We get it in the background a lot. And
I think I'm going to start saying every time I hear that, have you ever gone and told the people that you're telling me about that, this exact same thing?
Yeah.
Have you gone to the people that you love and just said, you know what? I was way out of line. I really, in everything that I did, you know what I mean? I turned my back on, and I'm talking about me, people, not you, but I turned my back on God, on my family, on my friends, everything that meant anything to me, right? I burned all of the bridges and all of the relationships, stuff that I loved, prized possessions, things like that, pawn shops, drug dealers, got all of that stuff. And you can beat yourself up for the rest of your life, or you can slam that chapter closed. And the way you do that, people, is to unburden first and foremost to the people that you really care about. And again, they may not give you, the golden ticket to, unlimited redemption.
Yeah.
It's not, it really is not something that you got to expect.
It's not required either,
No, it's not. Because this is about forgiving. This is about moving on. The purpose of this is so that you can close chapter whatever and start chapter the next one, right? Exactly. And when you get all of that, it all comes back again and again to ownership. So you're on the lifeboat. There's a bunch of people here that share the exact same experience that you have been through. So question, right? What am I doing here? We talk about the game plan of sobriety. I think that very oftentimes we take for granted the fact that you really want to be sober, right? Which is why you're here.
Yeah.
And then I talk to people, and every once in a while I come across one and I just go, you know what? I don't know. Glad you're here, right? I love views, and maybe osmosis will start doing something. But from the discussions that we had, I don't know. It doesn't sound to me like you want to be sober, right?
Exactly, man.
And it's hard to listen to. By the way, nobody today, because today was a hell of a day. There was a lot of people today that really are moving forward in life. It was beautiful. Go ahead, Mark.
And the thing is, guys, we listen to it. We still do, and we still will.
Oh yeah,
because we care, and we know that, like Tommy just said, sometimes by osmosis you might catch it. It might not be the time today for you. It might not be tomorrow. It might not be a week. But I guess what we're trying to say is, don't lie to yourself.
That's exactly what we're trying to say.
And it's, if you're lying to yourself, you're not doing anybody any good. You're really not. You're not going to move forward. You're not going to move backward. You're going to be stuck. And that's worse. At least if you're moving backwards, at least you got somebody there trying to push you back forward. If you're stuck somewhere, the only person who can get you unstuck is you. And that's, and again, it's kind of funny, especially those of us that do have, like religious beliefs. The one that, can judge us the most knows everything. The one that, you know what I'm saying? And it's kind of the same for, like our families, because they're going to see and they're going to know us more than anybody else in the world. And it's crazy that if, they're the ones that are going to know when we lie, but those are the ones that we lie to the most. And it's when you finally get to that point, and I say that because I'm relating that to the boat, because that's what we are. It's more of a family, and we're here, and we almost, guys, you're talking to what, I got 11, you got what, 7 years now, or 8, Tommy?
It'll be it's 7. It'll be 7 on the 27th of June.
So that's 18 years of sobriety. And then if you take that sobriety and you walk it back to when we first started being addicted, you had a lot of years there that we've seen a lot of, and we've seen a lot of other people do, and that we've done ourselves. So we know typically when somebody is just throwing the BS at us, and it's, most of the time we're not going to be like just flat out calling people out on it. That ain't what we do, right? I mean, that's just not what we do. Like Tommy said, we like to be a positivity, type of situation, but we will, I promise you, be truthful and honest in all occasions. You can be truthful and honest. You don't have to come at it mean. You can say, hey man, this is how I see it right now. Are you lying to me? I'm not going to be mad if you are. Just let me know. I want to know how we need to proceed. And I've had a lot of conversations like that. So.
Well, and there are people, there are people that we've been working with on the lifeboat since July of last year, right? And watching progress. And, there are people that we've been working with since July of last year that can't seem to get the ball rolling. And the common denominator seems to be ownership.
Yeah,
it really does. And we certainly can't force that on anybody. And I'm not even sure that it would be something that we'd want to try. Right. You know what I mean? We definitely never want to change the model of caring about everybody, regardless of where they're at in their walk, because it's a vicious thing to be addicted to drugs. There is nothing worse, in my opinion. There's just not much worse that you can do to yourself and to others than to go down that path. So, we're here for you one way or the other. Make no mistake. But Mark nailed it. I think the takeaway from tonight's show is, man, just be honest with yourself, right? Really be honest with yourself, and get an idea of exactly where you're trying to go and what you're trying to do.
This is like you said, man. Exactly. You got to be honest with yourself, and this is not really an easy subject for me and Tommy to even talk about, because we don't like saying stuff like that. We hope that people are this way or that way, but at the end of the day, like Tommy said, we were drug addicts too. So
what's amazing to me? I'm sorry, but I got to do this.
No, go ahead.
I love you at Virginia Doolin. I got to go. I believe Mark Wages loves Jesus, but the lifeboat don't. So I will go soon. You know something, my brother? If you'd been on the boat a little longer, I assure you that I am definitely a follower of Jesus. And I'm not sure where you came up with that one. I really am not. But I wouldn't judge anybody's religion and their veracity in their religion. I'm very cool with mine. But if you feel like maybe I'm not a follower and that means you'd like to move on, I wish you the best of luck, man. I really do. I hope you find exactly what you're looking for somewhere. But no, there's no chance that we're ever going to turn this into a religious channel. But I have come on here and said, I don't know how many times, that my faith is in Jesus Christ. and I'm not trying to bum anybody out on the boat, but since this was brought up, I believe Christ died and rose 3 days later. But I believe the entire book. So I don't talk about other people's religion, that whole speck versus plank in your eye.
Yep.
Not going to go down that road.
Yeah,
but
no,
I do wish you the best of luck in wherever you go, bud. And I hope you find exactly what you're looking for and stay sober. Honestly.
And I want to say this too, guys, listen, obviously, I'm here with Tommy and this is what I'm doing too. And so any kind of decisions like that we make and anything we say like that goes for both of us. And I would also say this, that Jesus didn't go to the house of the sinner or to the saved to get the saved. He goes into the house of the sinner. So if you want to help somebody, you go where people need the help. And that's kind of what we're doing. So, it's just how I look at it anyway, guys. So just me.
Yeah, no, I meant no disrespect to you either, Daryl. I really don't. I hope that, but I promise you, for obvious reasons, the perfect example of why we will never turn this into a religious channel, in spite of my beliefs, which I assure you are rock solid, is Jesse Brown is the perfect example. Jesse just said, I'm a filthy atheist, but I still try to help if there's any way that I can. The last thing in the world I would want to do is run off anyone. I have come to care very deeply about Jesse. We do not see eye to eye on our religious opinions. Nevertheless, we're in the same boat with our addiction. And, this is, again, if you're new to the boat, this is probably something that's good that it came up, because we don't talk about this often for very simple reasons. But at the beginning of the show, we always say, it's fine to come here and say, I'm praying for you. There's no chance I'd be where I'm at today without my belief in my Lord and Savior. What we don't do is my God is better than your God, right? Because or here's why you're not going to heaven, right? Or here's why you're going to hell. Like, we don't go down that road, because I've always been of the firm belief, and my bobble-headed partner is definitely on board with this, that talking to somebody about faith or about God or anything else, if you're putting a needle in your arm 9 times a day, there's just not much room for God. And I was raised in a very religious household. Everybody in my family all basically believe the same thing. And unfortunately, I got way off the beaten path from that. And the reason I did is because you can't serve 2 masters, right? And while I was serving heroin, I assure you, I wasn't serving the Lord or myself. I mean, the only thing I was serving at that point was heroin, and that completely rewired my life. But the reason that, as important as my faith is, we don't bring it up here is because the only hope of somebody finding whatever God they choose to believe in is getting off the needle. And here at the Lifeboat, our number one goal is to get you sober. And I have said this before, and I will say it again. If you ever want to hear in greater detail about my beliefs, you can reach out to me, and I will be more than happy to talk about that. And I would, and very oftentimes that has happened. And there are people who have gotten sober and then sort of gotten back into their faith. One of my favorite examples of that would be my brother, Alan Ballantyne, right? Yep. And when Alan did his testimony here, he talked about how, he was a believer that got way off the beaten path, because when you can't serve 2 masters, right? And unfortunately, very oftentimes drugs becomes a religion for people. It did for me. Yeah. I worshiped at the altar of the syringe for a very, very long time. And, you can church it up and you can say it any other way, but truthfully, if the first thing that you think about when you get up in the morning is a fix, and the last thing you worry about before you go to bed is a fix, right?
That is your God.
That becomes your God. Yeah. Any way you shake it. And it was for me anyway. I mean, definitely. But
I would say this too, thank you for being respectful. I mean, everybody talking about this in the chat has been very respectful to one another. I mean, honestly, this is a good example of how adults handle situations. And people that actually care about one another. Honestly, I mean, really, it's a very good example. When we don't quite agree on something small or big, as big as this can be, we handle it this way. And this is the only way we really can handle it, to really move forward and to let everybody understand what's actually going on. You're fine, man. You're Daryl. Listen, there is no harm. Honestly, I mean, Tommy said what he needed to say, and that's just and honest, that's what we do. We've done that since day one, and in the disclaimer, I know that gets really glazed over at the beginning because you guys have seen it so many times.
Mhm.
But in the disclaimer, Tommy says that exact thing he just said.
Yeah, that is actually the disclaimer. I just sort of said it again.
Yeah.
We also talk about politics and some other things. But and I'll tell you something else, people. My bobbleheaded partner and I talked at length about whether or not we were going to go that route.
Yeah.
For myself and for my bobbleheaded partner, we don't believe we would be where we were at, without God. And, that makes you really start thinking when you're getting into, trying to run this type of a channel, what path you ought to take. But you start just playing by the numbers, and boy, there'd be a lot of people that we just said, no, you're not welcome here because of your belief or anything. And, maybe the people that believe something will change their mind, but they won't while they're high. Right. That's been my experience. So we decided to sort of go this route. And I think, honestly, I think we made a good decision.
I do
that
too.
Way.
It's very much like you said with the politics part of it too. If you decide to go down the politics road, you're choosing one side or the other. So when you do that, what are you doing? You're actually alienating 50% of the people you can reach.
Yeah. And boy, have we watched that happen before. Yeah. I mean, we've watched channels destroy themselves. It's like when we do the politics, we come on here and rail against, how easy certain substances are getting into the country. Inevitably, my email box gets jammed. And the really funny thing is, if it wouldn't be putting people on blast, because I would never want to do that, I would love to let you guys read them, because I'll do a show like that and I will have people email in and call me a filthy Republican or a filthy Democrat or some version of that, but I'll get it from both sides. I'll have people say to me, well, your liberal point of view, man, I go after politicians who I think are not, handling that aspect, because the only time we talk about politics is if it directly affects the whole drug thing. If you catch some really early shows, I think the very first one that I ever did, I really kind of addressed the religious thing. Although we didn't turn it into a religious channel, I'll be damned if I am ever going to deny my belief either. But it's a fine line, like so many fine lines on the really lifeboat.
And I think
when we talk about the politics, you always. The last thing in the world we want to do is alienate 50% of the audience in any one direction. That's a bad idea when you're trying to help people get sober.
Yeah, right? Exactly. And you handled that really well at the beginning of the channel. And I think sometimes it kind of gets lost too that, and I see this not just in our channel but everybody's channels, that it's like they're not allowed to have their own feelings and their opinions. You know what I mean? Even if they're not putting it out there like we aren't. And I'm not saying you guys are doing that to us. That's not what I'm saying at all. Please don't misunderstand. I'm just saying that for us, it's hard for us to put that out there without somebody getting a little bit twerked off about it or whatever. It's a hard line. Like Tommy said, it really is.
No question.
It's very fragile.
And I didn't mean to freak you out, Daryl, by calling out your comment. We do this constantly.
Yeah.
One part of the reason that this show is live, we could do this in the can and get paid. As a monetized channel, when you go live, you basically cut your own throat. But when we started to the chapter of the Ignace, when we decided to do this channel, the people said that they had a much easier time staying sober, following our live feeds and our live broadcasts. From that day forward, this became a live channel, and I've got screens everywhere. So, we usually call out comments that are, germane to whatever the subject matter is. But, if
Sarah had a good comment there.
Yeah. So
that's a good comment.
So exactly. And I appreciate that, Daryl. I'm glad you're here. But I keep real thick skin. I really do. But I just didn't want anyone thinking that, I don't deny my faith. So that was just one of those things that jumped out. But I'm glad you're here, man. And if you came through Virginia's been here, a crew member a really long time and a valued crew member. So that's very cool too. So
yeah, exactly. And I think that, it's nice to see a chat that isn't so stuck on themselves that they can't talk to each other without getting
truthfully
mad,
this every channel comes out and does let's be really honest, there's 57 million channels now, right? Every one of them says this is far more a family than it is a channel. These aren't subscribers, they're family members, right? And you hear all of the same cliches time and time again and over again, but here it really is that way. And one of the other things that does sound like a cliche, but it's the truth. This channel is far more about what's going on here, right? In the chat than it is myself and my bobbleheaded partner. We're the master of ceremonies kind of thing. We get the cool seat, but this really is about the comments section. So it's the reason we're live. If we do this, way back in the day, we would have what, Mark? We'd have 60 views and 400 comments, right? And it's
before we went live on an edited video, that's what it was. And we were actually, we were talking about that because I couldn't, guys, anybody knows me at all knows where my other channel, I got, pretty decent following over there, over 50,000. And what's crazy is I would do a video and then we would upload a video over here on the lifeboat. And the lifeboat would get more comments than mine did, and I would have almost 10,000 views on my video, and we would have like 60. If that doesn't speak volumes, I don't know what does. And that's exactly what pushed us to go live, because it became we recognized that we needed that connection with everybody, and that's what people were missing, and it's helped a lot of people get sober, guys. It really has. And we haven't been keeping stats on any of that because that's not our, that's not what we're here for. We're here to help when you guys need it. We don't need to go out there and start throwing numbers at people. I guarantee you our stats are good, though. I promise you that. But yeah, Marf is, listen, guys, I'm going to say this too. Channels that are positive based as much as they possibly can be, just like Marfugal, Pyres, Christine's got a channel, Verte's got a channel. We all come together. We find each other. That's what
happen like that.
It's like that, guys. That's exactly.
Rip Curl.
Yeah, Ripper. And there's so many of them now, Tommy. So many of them that it's amazing to me, and I think we're making a difference on the overall internet experience for people, because people are starting to find us. Not just us. I'm talking about all those people I just talked about.
Right.
And it makes a big difference, guys. It really does. So don't think when you put a comment in the chat that it doesn't help or doesn't matter, because it does. Somebody's reading that. Somebody's getting something from that almost every time. I promise.
No question. And here's the other thing, people. When we finish up a show, like last night's show finished up, I don't know, 110, something like that. People that had caught the show live. By now, I don't know what we're at, but it's probably on last night's. I'm sure it's about 260, 270, something like that. Over the course of the next couple of weeks, there are going to be people coming back. And when they watch the replay, they can stop it, read the comments, back up, read the comments. It really, the amount of healing that goes on because of the things that the crew here talks about and the comments that are made. It's not a cliche, and it's not just one of those things. It really is the show. The comment section here really, truthfully, is the show, and I love that. I really do.
And I think that I think they know that. Everybody understands it, because what have we done? Well, how many times have we stopped our topic, like not even halfway through what we were really going to talk about, and went straight to the chat? And did
every
nothing.
night.
Just about every night, isn't it? I mean, it's
There's
really,
a reason the cat's name is Squirrel.
Yeah.
Right? I tend to get into the comments, but you know what? I think that's why, yeah, it is what it is.
no, and I honestly do think that not that you can't find that kind of connection with somebody that you've never seen or met or anything like that just about anywhere else, except for those few channels I mentioned earlier. And most of those people are doing uploaded videos, with the exception of Marv. But you see similar stuff, right? And he's reporting on news. They still talk about love in the comment section. That's when you're in the right place, because he's reporting on some of the horrible stuff.
I don't think I've ever said hello to Alyssa Marie. Have you ever seen that name before? I don't believe I have.
I think she's here new tonight.
Hey, and Daniel is here as well.
Yeah.
Daniel, welcome.
Yep.
I've been sort of going back and forth in the comment sections with Daniel Sell. I believe Daniel found us through my big brother. So
Johnny
welcome.
too, yeah.
We're glad you're here.
That's another positive channel, guys. Just because it has.
Yeah.
It's a pepper channel, but it's still positive. Everything Johnny does over there is positive. Have a good day.
5,000 some odd videos without a curse. It's kind of incredible.
It's kind of nuts. He even tries to leave out the curse words when he's announcing a channel, somebody else's company name.
Yeah. Yeah, he's pretty vicious about it. He really is.
Yeah, it's cool though. That's good to see.
Yeah,
hey,
definitely kind of cool. But you know what, people? That's that's kind of bringing us really close to the cat in the basket. And you know what, Daryl, since you're brand new, this is really going to seem odd, but at the end of every night when we sign off, I hold up a cat in a basket. And I don't exactly know how that got started, but it is a tradition here on the Lifeboat. So for all of you new people, stick around, never leave before it's over, or you'll miss the cat in the basket. People, kind of a big deal, right?
Yep.
Squirrel, you ready? She's looking quite ready, so we're in good shape. People, we will be back 23 hours from right now, right here, same bat channel. We do this 365 days a year. The subject is always different, but it's always the same. Between now and then, reach out and try to save somebody, right? It's the only thing we ask, man. Just reach out and try to save somebody. And if that somebody is you, own it. Be viciously honest with yourself. That's where it all starts. I promise you it does. All right? So thank you, everybody. I am Captain Tommy Scoville, and on the other side of the glass,
Mark Wages.
And this, people, this is a cat in a basket. Good night, everybody. We love you.